Well, hey, nice to see you guys again. Welcome into Auto Rhythm Fantasy Sports. I'm Jamie. That's Eli. We're actually gonna hit up some.
Hello.
We're gonna hit up some college spotlight this week, like we do every week. We are actually going to be hitting up Isaiah Davis from South Dakota State Jackrabbits. He's a running back. It's I think this is
Ah,
his senior year. It's a very possible he'll be entering the 2024 NFL draft. So we're going to be talking about him. Hopefully he gets drafted, but it's a long shot. But that's who we are gonna talk about today. So a little bit different from the FBS. So we're gonna take a little notch down to the FCS division, and yeah. All right, big
take
boy.
take a couple steps down. Take a couple steps down to the FCS. Doesn't mean that there's any drop off in quality. Sometimes, I was reading somewhere where if South Dakota State had been a FBS program, they would have been a top 30 team. I believe it. I mean, I think they could have competed with Auburn, teams like that were you know, uh, Kentucky, maybe 7-5 kind of, FCS teams. Absolutely. So, and they've been stacked. There's been a bunch of guys. I mean, Pierre Strong, and the list goes on and on. Um, Dallas Goddard, there's been a bunch of these boys come from SDSU that have made the NFL lately and made an impact too. So, and he might be the next. Right now, I have him. Donovan, never had a closer shave in my life. Even my wife is impressed. Harry's razors. come endorse us. We're waiting for you.
Oh, hey,
Um,
dude, yeah, I actually
yeah,
use their body wash. I use their shampoos, man.
dude, I know
I love
Harry's
their
is the shit.
I love their
Help
shit,
us,
dude.
help us, Harry, Harry's
Yes,
help us build the channel, and we'll preach the gospel. Come,
yes,
come
we'll
hither.
promote their stuff.
Yeah, Isaiah Davis. So I have him in the NFL comp. I have him as Zach Charbonnet. Obviously, he's not going to be a second round pick, but just based on the speed, the skill set, kind of a workhorse guy, 6'1", 220. That's about the same size as Zach Charbonnet. That's just who he reminded me. Watching, highlight clips and seeing especially last year in the 2022 FCS title game against NDSU, where he had, I think, he had 119 rushing yards. So he against the top FCS programs, he's had over 100 yards against all of them. So I mean, he's not racking up yards on Ohio State, or he was never given that opportunity. Michigan and USC,
What?
programs like that. What? That doesn't mean he can't make it, in the pros. Like I said, see Pierre Strong. Pierre Strong is a nice, probably the number 3 back with the Browns right now. That's a good spot to be in. That's a damn good team, damn good backfield. So right now they have him overall draft buzz 294th,
Correct.
28th ranked running backs. We're looking at probably an undrafted free agent, but see Keaton Mitchell from this past draft. Keaton Mitchell was an undrafted free agent, and he's had some really good games with Baltimore lately. And I think he had 64 yards again on Sunday. So that doesn't mean anything. Like I say, he's got good NFL size, decent speed. Doesn't have the afterburners. He's not a home run hitter or anything. Not Adrian Peterson or a guy like that. But just a workhorse kind of back. And I think a lot of teams could use that. A lot of teams, Tampa. I think he'd be a nice compliment with Rachaad White if he could make the team, and him and Sean Tucker, in the Bucs room. I think Dallas could use him. The Panthers. I mean, Miles Sanders is junk. So there's a couple places. I mean, he could be start out as probably a make the practice squad, and then who knows, go from there. Like I said, Keaton Mitchell is like best case scenario for this year, where he's an undrafted guy that just works his way up. Has a great preseason, and the sky's the limit. Look at his stats from the last 2 years, and these are at the FCS level, obviously. I mean, we were talking up Chase Brown earlier in the show. He did that at Illinois against Big Ten competition. I mean, Isaiah Davis is doing this against FCS, but still, I mean, they're impressive numbers. Had over 1,400 yards rushing last year with 15 touchdowns. This year, not quite as many rushing yards, but the average is up. 6.8 average per carry, 15 touchdowns, almost 1,400 yards. And then you throw in, which is going to make him a valuable, because most of these guys are just kind of like Adrian Peterson guys of this size, 6'1", 220. They weren't a lot of, back in the day, they weren't really pass catcher guys. You think of more like Jahmyr Gibbs size guys that'll catch, or Rachaad White, guys like that. But this guy, 22 catches, almost 200 yards, a touchdown through the air catching passes. That's going to help his value in the NFL. And, he was an FCS All-American. Of the All-American team for the FCS for 2023, this was the running back. So a lot of accolades for this guy, helped them win a national championship in FCS last year. And like I said, I saw Zach Charbonnet just based on the size and kind of the skill set and the speed. Zach Charbonnet right now is technically a starting running back in the NFL. It's going to be a ways away, if at all, for Isaiah Davis to reach that level. But what are your initial thoughts on Isaiah Davis?
Ooh, Isaiah Davis. Well, I mean, quite honestly, he's a different character. I mean, he's a guy who actually was behind, Pierre Strong, the Rabbits. They actually had a 1-2 punch last year. Both these guys pretty much tore up the FCS level last year because, Isaiah Davis had, about, I think he had 13 or 1,400 yards rushing last year, on top of what he did this year. Pierre Strong, actually, I'm sure Pierre Strong had over 1,000 some odd yards last year. So it just showed that the Jackrabbits had a 1-2 punch last year. And Pierre Strong got drafted by the Patriots. So I mean, even though Isaiah Davis is almost he's kind of similar guy, but it's going to be hard saying if he'll end up getting drafted. There's a good chance he could be undrafted. But overall, I mean, just kind of digging into this guy a little bit. I mean, 1,300 yards rushing this year. That's fourth in the FBS, division, but first in the conference because they are actually in the Missouri Valley Conference. So that he was in first in their conference. We already talked about the 15 touchdowns this year. He matched what he did last year. He had 15 touchdowns last year too, as well. Then he had pretty good season. Well, they're actually in the playoffs right now too. So his longest run of the year so far is actually against Villanova here this last weekend. But yeah, so actually he had 1,400 yards last year. I actually had the stats here. So he actually had 1,400 yards compared to 1,300 yards, same touchdowns. Overall, like he actually had, so total purpose yards, he's like this is all just in the FBS, not the, FBS. So this all the FBS, Division 1 here. Is right? They're Division 1 or Division 2, I think.
They're all considered Division 1, but there's just the subdivision of.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah. I'll just other than that, he's had a total of him actually being with South Dakota. So in the whole FCS, he's second overall in rushing with 4,350 some odd yards rushing overall, just with him being in South Dakota. And then he's about yards per game. He's third with about 99 yards per game, give or take there. And then all-purpose yards, over 5,000 some odd yards. That's third best in the FCS conference there. And then he actually is tied for fourth in the FCS, but tied for fourth, but give or take, it's probably six because with quite a few guys, 15 touchdowns, give or take there. But with total touchdowns, he's seventh overall in the FCS, and then he was first overall within the conference. So I mean, you can just tell that South Dakota is the team to be reckoned with, in the FCS division. The Bisons were kind of the guy, the Bisons were kind of that team, but I think they kind of, once they lost, Wentz, Trey, after they lost him, I think their team is a little bit different. So South Dakota kind of kicked them off the curb and said, "Hey, we want to be the next dynasty with, with 7 championships now." So I think this is taking a turn right now. South Dakota finally got their first, championship this upcoming season. And they're going for the second in a row now. So I'm hoping that, so Isaiah Davis could be the guy to come in and help them get another second championship in a row. He's actually had 5,000 or 500-yard games this season, and two within the playoffs too already, which is crazy.
So I'll correct something quick. Pierre Strong was 2021, and I think Davis had a good. He was kind of the backup. Yeah, like you were saying, he was the feature guy. I just wanted to correct that, just in case people thought we said 2022. So it was 2021 that both of those guys were there, and then Pierre Strong got drafted. Went to the NFL draft, and then so Isaiah Davis has been the feature guy the last 2 years, and so that's where.
Yeah.
But yeah, those that's crazy, man. Over 5,000 all-purpose yards, for a career. I mean, that's got to be one of the highest in FCS history.
Yeah, that's third overall.
Jesus.
Yep. And then so I was just kind of seeing if anybody. So I like to go 27 or 24/7 Sports real quick because they always give out like where guys sign, or if they got any other, if anybody wants, how many like colleges are interested. And pretty much South Dakota was the only team. He pretty much signed with South Dakota right away. There was no one else out there that was interested in him at that time. So he ends up signing with them. I know you like looking at PFF. The crazy funny thing is I was kind of looking at who would be like some teams that would be interested in trying to sign this guy, and they had Green Bay, Chicago, and the Patriots. And I'm just like, no freaking way. I'm like, come on, man. It's like we don't need another, Jackrabbit going to the Patriots where they just go to end up dying.
Right. He'll get cut, and then it'll be the same song and dance as Pierre Strong. He'll have to make it as a practice squad guy and then work his way up. Yeah, no, Patriots, that's a death zone.
It is.
Green Bay, if Green Bay doesn't end up taking Braylon Allen, let's say I think they need a running. I really do, because Aaron Jones I don't trust anymore. AJ Dillon might ask for some more money. I think he's going into a second contract, so I don't know if they're going to bring him back or not. Patrick Taylor, he's just a complimentary third, fourth guy, just a depth chart guy. So there might be, if they might take, two of the same kind of guy, Braylon Allen, big bruiser guy, and then, undrafted Isaiah Davis, bring him into Green Bay. I think, and he's from Joplin, Missouri, so he's a Midwest guy. So I get the whole Chicago. I think Dallas. Honestly, of all the teams, I think Dallas and Carolina are like the two that I'm like. I think he'd be a Carolina. He could definitely make some waves there, being a nice, if he ever worked his way up and it was a compliment to Hubbard.
Yeah,
I think that might go well. And then with Dallas, if they move on from Tony Pollard, or he kind of starts, as he gets older, him and Dowdle, bring, they got Deuce Vaughn, but I'm thinking practice squad. Dallas brings him into the practice squad. He works his way up. I like Dallas and Carolina a lot for landing spots for him.
Yeah, for sure.
And Dallas ain't that far from Joplin, Missouri, so it's kind of his region of the country. Kind of be home, so we're technically not that far from Texas. If you really think about it, it's what, 4 states,
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, give or take. Yeah, just some pros and cons. I think he's kind of more like, you mentioned that he doesn't really have that home run speed, which I kind of saw. I mean, he's kind of got that first to second level burst a little bit, but really trying to, like, if they're on the other end, him trying to like really get it done, he doesn't really have that speed. I mean, defenders can catch up with him quite a bit. If someone's a little bit quicker, I mean, that'll be, so he's kind of got that little bit of downfall with him. But I think he's a good red zone running back, because I mean he's more of a hefty kind of bruiser kind of guy. So I mean, he's good. He'd be good in those like 20 yards and out kind of back, or 30 yards. I mean, that would be his playing field, where he would be like, that's where he'd be most comfortable at. Or I mean, he actually can break. He can actually break, tackles because he's the kind of a guy who actually likes contact. He'll want to run you over kind of guy. So I mean, that's Isaiah Davis. He's kind of like one of those.
Not,
He's kind of like a one cut kind of guy. He's kind of one
Yep.
cut and then kind of move. I mean, that's kind of his forte. I mean, you don't really see a spin move.
He's not No, there's nothing pretty about. I mean, but you need a guy like that on your depth chart. I feel like let's say there's 3 running backs, kind of like what the Bills do with Tyler Johnson, Latavius, and James Cook. You need Dallas could use a third, with Pollard and Rico, and then you bring in a big bruiser like they had with Marion Barber back in the day. You bring this guy in as a bruiser, and he kind of has his role on the team. I don't see him being a feature back. Like I said, Zach Charbonnet is like. I mean, that's probably unattainable because Zach Charbonnet is going to be him and Walker are going to be like 1A in Seattle for a while. Like he's going to be a feature back on an NFL team. I don't see Isaiah Davis being a feature back on an NFL team, but he could in the running back room, he could definitely make a difference. You could be like, he could be on the waivers next year. And then we're talking, Isaiah Davis is 4% rostered. So we try to bring up guys that were like, week 15 of 2024, you're like, maybe I need to go pick up Isaiah Davis for a week or so. So he'll be in that range, like be a touchdown guy, kind of a specialist running back if he makes it in the NFL.
Yeah, and that's
not very good at pass blocking. Not very good at pass blocking either. That was his lowest of all. Like Draft Buzz does all the skill sets, all the graphs and stuff. So his lowest mark was pass blocking.
Yeah.
So being not a third down back or anything like that, but
yeah, I think if it came down to it, he'd be kind of, if it did come to it, if he did get in that role, he'd probably play the first, be a first and second guy, and then bring the pass catching back in kind of guy. He let him kind of be the bruiser, a couple plays and take him out kind of guy. Like I just saying, he's not much of a pass catcher, so I mean he's more of that he's kind of more like a Derrick Henry. He just likes just pound at you, the tackle kind of guy, and that's what he kind of is. He just wants to get through, gets touchdowns, get as many yards as he can, try to knock you over. So this is who he is. And just my last note is pretty much, they had Pierre Strong there and whatnot. So they had a 2-headed monster at that time. And, learning some experience from Pierre Strong kind of helped him mold his game. So it's, I mean, that's kind of Isaiah Davis. My bad. But yeah, that's kind of yep.
I think we're ready for NBA talk. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I think that kind of covers all the notes I had on him and whatnot. So yeah, I think that was a pretty good college spotlight, guys. I don't know if you guys like what we're doing here, leave a like, comment, and in the comment section, or even after this is over with, thoughts on Isaiah Davis. If you guys thought we did good, let us know. Even if it's a negative, we'll take it into some positive and just get better at what we do. So, all right, we'll wrap this segment up, and then we'll wrap up the show. So we'll be
sounds like a plan.
We'll be right back. 15 seconds, guys. We'll be right back.